Hello everyone. The objective of this lesson is to learn how to calculate future value or present value when the interest charged is compound interest. We all borrow money for one purpose or another, be it mortgage or student loan or credit card. Regardless of the purpose, whenever we borrow money, we always pay some extra money for the use of the borrowed money. The borrowed money is called the principal, and the extra money we pay for the use of money is called interest. The total amount we pay by the end of the time period is called the amount, and this is the sum total of principal and the interest. Interests are of two types. One is simple interest, where the interest is paid against the principal borrowed. And the second type is compound interest, where the interest is paid in each compounding period and is being added to the principal. To see the difference between these two, let's consider one example. Let's say we borrow 1000 at the rate of 10% for 2 years. Now the calculations for simple interest and compound interest are, in case of simple interest, when we borrow 1000, we're going to pay 10% interest, right? So 10% of the principal borrowed, which is 1000, and when we calculate this comes out to be $100. That means for the first year we're going to pay $100. Because it is simple interest and the interest should be on principal borrowed, for the second year again we're going to pay 10% of 1000, which is again $100. So by the end of 2 years our amount would be principal plus interest, which is 1000 plus 200 interest of 2 years, and we're going to end up by paying 1200. In case of compound interest, interest is compounded annually, right? So our principal is still same. By the end of first year, we're going to pay $100 extra, right? At this point, our principal will change. Our principal will become the previous balance, which is 1000, plus the interest of this period, which is 100. So this is 1100. This amount after 1 year becomes the principal for the second year. So now we have principal 1100, and we're going to end up by paying 10% of 1100 now, which is 110. So our amount by the end of 2 years would be 1100 plus 110, which is 1210. Now you can easily see the difference between these two amounts, right? Here you're going to pay extra $10, right? In simple interest you're going to pay 1200, and in compound interest you're going to pay 1210. So you are paying $10 extra. Compound interest is just like COVID-19. Coronavirus spreads with each contact, and compound interest increases with each compounding period. To stay away from coronavirus, wash your hands frequently, and to stay away from compound interest, pay your bills. In this lesson, our focus will be compound interest. There is separate lesson video for calculations with simple interest. When we calculate amount using the compound interest, we have formula in terms of R and in terms of I. When we replace S by future value and P by present value, the formula becomes FV is equal to PV times 1 plus R upon M raised to power Tm. This Tm can be replaced by a single term, which is N, and R upon M can be replaced by a single variable I. So these two formulas are same. You can use either of these format. Let's go over each term of the formula. FV is the amount or the future value. PV is the principal or the present value. R is the nominal interest rate per year. Please pay attention, this is per year. Rate should always be per year. Then T is the entire period or the number of years the money is invested or borrowed. This is always in years. Time should always be in years. M is the number of compounding per year. Now, what does it mean? Let's say the interest is compounded quarterly. That means 4 quarters in a year, right? So interest will be compounded 4 times in a year, right? Let's draw a timeline for 1 year. That means it should be divided into 4 regions, and after each region, at this point, the principal will change, right? If P is the original principal, after a quarter, that is 3 months, our principal will change, and this becomes the previous principal plus the interest for this entire period, right? Let's say this is P1. Now we'll carry forward this P1 for the next time period. Okay, so number of conversions means how many times in a year the principal changes, that is M. Number of compoundings per year, this is always per year. If the time period is 2 years and the interest is compounded quarterly, that means 4 times in a year, and for 2 years period the interest will be charged 8 times, right? So 2 times 4, that becomes 8. So M is 4 for a year. Next is I. I is the interest per conversion period. Per conversion period means if we consider this case, I is the interest per quarter. Next, N. N is the total number of conversions. Total number of conversions means, let's say interest is compounded quarterly. That means M is 4 and T is 3 years. So how many times the interest will be converted or the principal will change? So this is M times T. So 4 times 3, that is 12. So that is N. Okay, let's consider one question. It says, what is the value of 1000 invested for 2 years with interest compounded at 10% quarterly? Now here the golden word is quarterly. You can underline this. That means our M should be 4, right? Let's write down the data here. Okay, so our present value is 1000 because that is what we invested. So PV should be 1000. Time is 2 years. So we'll write down that information here. Then R is 10% per year. M is 4 because of this golden word quarterly. So M is 4. Now N is M times T, right? So that is 8. Now what do we want to calculate? We want to calculate the value of 1000 after a certain period. So that means FV is the question mark, right? So let's calculate FV using the compound interest formula. So that is our formula. Let's plug in all the values. Now the key to calculate this is start from point 10. Start from the innermost bracket, right? Okay, so starting from point 10, divide by 4, then plus 1, and then there is a key on calculator which says x raised to power y. So press that key, press that feature of calculator, and then press 8 times 1000. So you'll get FV is equal to 1218.4028975. This is what your calculator screen will display. Now, because we are talking about money, we should have 2 digits after the decimal. Depending on the third digit, we'll round off the second digit after decimal. So this 0 stays 0 because 2 is less than 5. So future value will be 1218. Let's solve the same question using the calculator entirely. Here, 5 features are helpful for calculating the compound interest. These 5 features we can use in any order. We just need to input 4 of these and we can calculate the fifth variable. Now, first of all, for n, n is m times t, so 4 times 2 and then n. This is how you can enter in your calculator. So you'll press 4 and then times 2 equals, your screen will display 8 and then you can enter n, right? So that is how you input n. Then next, for I upon y, because the interest is 10% per annum, so you will input 10 in your calculator. So input 10 and then divided by, the golden word is quarterly, so you'll divide by 4, right, equals to, your screen will show some number and then press IY. So that will input IY. Next, make sure if you are using calculator for compound interest, then using shift key, PY should be equal to 1 and CY should be equal to 1. And then you can quit using the shift key. So you'll press shift, quit, right? That will clear your screen. Then next you'll input PV. For PV, 1000 is the input. So enter 1000 and then divided by, sorry, not divided by, is just PV. So then enter PV. Okay. For all compound interest, 0 should be the input for PMT, right? For annuities, the payment will be different. But for all compound interest questions, value of PMT should be 0 and you have to input this. Every time you calculate anything related to compound interest, you'll input PMT is equal to 0. These 5 variables should have input. Whether you are calculating compound interest or you are calculating annuities. Okay, and in the end you'll input CPT. What do you want to calculate? FV. So you'll do CPT, which means compute future value. And your screen will display negative 1218.402 and which you can round off again. Negative sign is for the cash flow. You can consider it positive later on. Okay, so the future value becomes positive 1218.40. Another interesting question is, on the birth of her first child, Colin put 41,000 into long-term deposit paying 3.255% compounded daily. How much will the deposit be worth on her child's 18th birthday? Now the golden word here is daily, which means M is equal to 365. Now Colin put 41,000 into long-term deposit at the birth. That means now. So 41,000 is the present value and we need to calculate the value of 41,000 after 18 years. So time is 18 years. Because we want to calculate the future value, we'll use future value formula to calculate FV. Let's plug in the values here. So PV is 41,000. R is, when we convert into decimals, it is 0.03255. This we get by dividing 3.255 by 100. And then M is 365 raised to power 18 times 365. Now the tip to solve this equation is solve 18 times 365 first using calculator. So when you multiply 18, 8 times 3, 6, 5 equals to, and then you can store this value. Press store and put some number, maybe 1. Store at place number 1. Okay, and keep this in mind. Now next, 0.03255 divided by 365 plus 1, and then use feature y raised to power x. When you press this, because you want to recall this product, you will use RCL key. This is for recall. And what do you want to recall? Your stored value at 1. So you'll press recall 1. Your screen will display this product. Okay? And then press equals. Whatever the screen shows, times it, times 41,000. Right? Okay. So that will give you the solution of future value. Okay, consider 4 or 5 digits after decimal and then round off the second digit after decimal to get the cents. Okay, when you use calculator, n is 18 times 365, right? Then input 3.255 divide by 365, that gives you the value of IY. Okay, then press shift py equals to 1, then use down arrow key, and then your screen will display cy. Make sure it is 1. If it is not 1, enter 1 and then press enter. Okay, this is the enter key. Then quit using the shift key. Then next value should be of PV. So input 41,000 and press PV. Again, for compound interest questions, PMT should be 0. So input 0 and then press PMT. Now, next, compute FV. Once you input all the 4 variables, to compute the 5th variable, you will use CPT key, CPT FV, right? And your screen will again show you negative number. You can consider it as positive. This negative is for the cash flow. So future value, that is after 18 years, Colin will get 73,658.97. Okay, another interesting question. George wants to buy a house in 5 years and will need 25,000 for a down payment. How much he need to invest now at 5% compounded semi-annually? Now, this 25,000 he needs in future. So this is the future value and he wants to invest now. That means we need to calculate the present value. So PV is equal to this formula we'll use to calculate present value. Plug in all the values. Now the semi-annually means M is 2 and because he needs payment after 5 years, so T is 5 and M is 2. This 2 comes from semi-annually. The present value would be 19,529.96 cents. Okay, this is the time to check your understanding. Please pause the video and come back to check your answer. Welcome back everyone. Okay, so the present value here 8762.98. Thank you everyone.